South Africans are living in a war zone where 57 people are murdered every single day. That's according to the police minister commenting on the latest crime statistics, which were released earlier on Tuesday. CGTN's Renée Delcambre breaks down the numbers for us.
The minister said the depressing story of South Africa's crime stats for the financial year April 2017 to March 2018 was nothing to write home about. There'd been over 2 million counts of serious crimes reported in the past year, with over 600,000 contact crimes such as murder, attempted murder, common assault and robbery, and over 40,000 cases of rape. The murder rate was up by nearly 7%, with the victims becoming younger and more vulnerable, with a sharp increase in the murders of women and children.
We cannot allow the citizens of this country to take it as a norm that when you are on the road, you must be hijacked, and that when you are at home, somebody must break in and terrorize you and your family in your presence. Or take it as a norm that 57 people die every day through guns and knives in South Africa.
The police minister denied that South Africa had descended into lawlessness, but admitted that there was a ratio of 1 police officer to every 383 South African citizens, compared to the United Nations norm of 1 police officer per 220 people. He said the police had to accept collective responsibility for having dropped the ball when it came to protecting and serving the people of South Africa.
Maybe for now it's not important to focus on who dropped the ball. However, what is of utmost importance is how do we collectively pick up the ball. The Ministry of Police and the South African Police Service should put their heads on the block, in that this situation must be arrested with swiftness it deserves, and it must be reversed with a lightning speed.
Most South Africans have greeted the high murder rate with shock.
For the last 10 years, we've had situations where the police minister and the police leadership have tried to paint a rosy picture despite all the indications, particularly over the last 6 years, that things were going awry. But today, that was a new approach. He focused specifically on the murder rate, which is our most reliable crime statistic, and it showed alarmingly that we've seen the biggest increase in murder since democratic South Africa.
Statistics on the murder of 62 people on South African farms in the past year were also released. It's the first time these stats have been released in over a decade, and comes after the international focus on South African farm murders in recent months. Renée Delcambre, CGTN, Cape Town, South Africa.
The latest crime figures in South Africa there. Now let's get you more on the crime situation in the country. I'm joined from Johannesburg by Angelo Coppola. The police minister has described the crime statistics as scary, bordering on a war zone. Which parts of South Africa are the most vulnerable, would you say, Angelo?
Karen, based on the data we saw today, it's Gauteng, which is the economic hub of the country, KwaZulu-Natal, the Eastern Cape, the Western Cape. These are the most unsafe provinces. While the populations in those provinces have been steadily increasing, that police to population ratio that Renée spoke about has declined significantly. And the police minister admitted as much, saying that the force needed some 10,000 new police officers to get back to that UN norm that everybody's talking about, that 1 to 220. That ratio, of course, is nowhere near that. And the increase in those crime statistics that were released today show that that's the case. Cele was a relatively new face in this portfolio, but he's been there before and he knows what needs to be done. Karen?
And Angelo, talk us through some of the most serious criminal offences and which members of society are most affected.
Well, as Renée mentioned, murders are up 6.9%, or 4 more people are killed every day in the country. That 56 number is completely astounding. In the data, there's an even more terrifying statistic. There were 279 children murdered in the Western Cape 221 kids killed in KwaZulu-Natal and 180 killed in the Eastern Cape. That rape number is up, which means that 7 more people are raped per day. So that number is now at 109 people every day in South Africa. Residential property burglaries have also decreased by around 7.5%, but still there's 625 homes that are burgled every day in the country. Cash in transit heists we've covered before, that is up by around 56%, and that means that in the period under review that's around 1 heist per day on the country's roads.